Hello and welcome to Ready Bet Action. We are so excited to come to you today with NFL Wildcard weekend upon us. One of my personal favorite weekends of football for the year. It tends to be more exciting than maybe even the other playoff games. Stefan, are you excited for this weekend? And which game are you most excited about if you had to pick one?
Well, the Rams-Detroit game is probably the one I'm most excited about just
Agreed.
because I expect it to be a track meet, and we're going to get into that,
Yep.
of course. I think that one will be fun. But, I mean, also, I'm a little bit bummed on the year, as you know, just so many quarterback injuries. And then, like, this season ending with Trevor Lawrence just trying so hard to put the team on his back, and just like his shoulder couldn't do it. You could see it on those last plays of the game. So, being a Jags fan, it was a bit of a bummer. But I'm also kind of a Ravens fan. I used to have my Ravens jersey behind me here.
Yeah.
And I have like Ravens to win the Super Bowl that I bet before the season at like plus 2,100. So
I can't believe
I'm
you have
excited.
that at plus 2,100. I got it at what, plus 300 like last week or something like that. Oh man,
so,
absolutely crazy. Crazy value.
I'll be hedging like a motherfucker.
Don't do it.
Just a little bit.
Mark Andrews coming back from IR. I just saw the report. Mark Andrews,
that's huge.
Play him next week. So, all right. Well, let's not. Oh, go for it.
Oh, when we just talking about tight ends returning, if the tight end one, Sam Laporta, does end up playing this week, that'll make that Detroit game even more fun. But we'll get into that one later. I think we're gonna go game by game here, right, Eric?
Yeah, let's just do it that way. Normally, if you're a regular listener, we'll kind of just go through our picks. But today, I think it makes a lot of sense to go through game by game. We'll give you a pick or two for each one, and then kind of our thoughts on those games. Maybe you like something else. Good opportunity to make some bets and make some money this weekend. So I'll kick us off. We got the Browns and Texans playing in Houston. I was gonna say 2:30, but we're in the mountain time zone. So for us, we're gonna talk in mountain time. 2:30 p.m.
Time zone.
Pretty excited for this one, mostly because I'm a big CJ Stroud fan. I'll just get straight to it. I think the wrong team's favored, and I'm taking the Texans +2. I'm just taking the +2 as a little cushion. I think they win this game outright. So if you like the money line and the value better, you go for that. For the purposes of this show, we are going to go with Texans +2. I just don't believe that Joe Flacco is as good as he's played. I love CJ Stroud. I know there's a lot going against a rookie quarterback. I also strongly believe in it's hard to beat a team twice. And when the last time the Browns played the Texans, they won handily, but there was no CJ Stroud. Nico Collins might have played, but they had a couple other injuries too. And I just think it's a different game. I'm not sure why the Browns are favored. I mean, they're a hot team. That's why they're favored. What do you think?
And they've got a great defense. I think it makes sense, but I'm also on this with you. You kind of like that money line, like you said, but I was like, man, let's just play it safe with +2. This could be a really close game. But like what you said, I was in the stadium in Denver when Flacco beat the Broncos with that stupid, 9 route that should have been batted down. I don't want to. It was so cold. It's supposed to be minus 2 degrees here over the weekend. It was one of those nights. So I would love to see Joe Flacco fail. And I think he will. I think he could still have a good game. I don't hate him in DFS, but I kind of like the Houston Texans in DFS as kind of a sneaky play. I'm with you on this Houston play. I think CJ Stroud is super good. D'Amico Ryans is just a phenomenal coach.
So good.
Also a good defense. I don't think enough people talk about how good Houston's defense has been down the stretch as well. So all aboard the Texans with you here.
Oh, that's great. I love it. Dude, the Texans just played a playoff game last week and the Browns rested everybody. I buy into the team that has already played a playoff type game recently, and I think that already gives Stroud a little experience going into this game. But we'll see. Maybe I'm too high on CJ Stroud. Has not proven to be. I haven't been able to be too high on him this year. So I think
he's been awesome.
All right, let's move on to the coldest game of the weekend. The game that is oddly streaming on an app. I mean, I happen to have this app, so I don't really care too much, but
Right.
there's a lot of uproar about this game streaming on Peacock, and we have the
Go to a
Dolphins.
bar, you know,
I know,
like
go to a bar. They'll figure it out. They'll figure out how to get it on the TVs
I mean, as
at
a
the bar.
soccer fan, where it's like it up until like
Yeah,
recently, it was always impossible to watch games. Like Americans have no idea
yeah.
how spoiled they are. But yeah, it's still ridiculous. But this would be such an exciting, such a fun game if it was being played in Miami. You know,
Yes.
like it would be like shootout
Oh,
conditions.
yeah.
You don't know what's gonna happen. We'd all be on the Chiefs because we've seen the Dolphins kind of
Yes.
not live up to the moment so far this year. But instead, it's in the coldest day of the year. I mean, it's only the 12th or whatever, but still,
Yep.
coldest day. And it's just unfortunate. So, where are you on this one, Eric? I know you've got some action. We both do actually, but I'd like to hear your play first.
I actually don't have a play
Oh,
on
did I? Because I didn't like it. Did you take it
on
off?
this game. You didn't like it, but you had a good reason for not liking it, and I'm okay with it. And
So
I
it was the
backed off.
The Tua under
Yeah,
239, I think, passing yards.
the super cold weather scares me away from this game for anything for the Dolphins, pretty much. And they're football players. It's not like they don't know how to play in cold weather, but I don't know, man. Like I just don't think the Dolphins are built for the coldest playoff game in history, which is what we're about to see. So I know you
So
have a pick though, which I very much agree with. For someone who is going to perform though.
yeah, I did see like on Game Time and reach out to us for sponsorships, Game Time people. You can get a ticket to that game for like $40 on
No
Game Time.
way. That
Yeah,
is
because it's so cold. Here's what I want. Here's how I'm going to attack this game. Travis Kelce's numbers are just way too freaking low. I know it's going to be cold, but the Dolphins know that too, and they're going to do what they can to make sure Pacheco can't just run the ball on them all day. So I think Travis Kelce, if anyone's going to get involved in the passing game, it's going to be him. The odds on his numbers here are already baking in the fact that it's cold. His total is set at 57.5. In 18 playoff games, Eric, do you think you could guess how many times he has surpassed 57.5 in 18 playoff games?
Oh, is it 19? I don't Does he
He's hit
somehow do
this.
it 19 times?
He's done this 14 times. He's
Okay,
had a couple of games
that's
where he
pretty
got
low.
injured because he got injured in a few playoff games and had to exit early.
Yeah.
So, and then if you want to play this on a ladder, and I'll explain what that means. And this is a shout out to our friends over at SGPN, the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. They were talking about this on their podcast. So I am 100% ripping this off, and they are great, and they dive into the games in much more detail. Go listen to them. We've had Colby on the show before. Super great guys. Anyway, so a ladder is basically taking the alternate options of yard totals and betting all of them, but then in smaller units. So we're going to place one full bet on this one unit. So let's say we're going to place $10 on this bet. I'm going to do 50% of that on the 57.5. And then the second 25%, man, this is getting way too complicated. I'm going to do 25% on over 70 yards, and we get that at plus 135. And then I'm going to do the final 25% of my bet on over 100 yards, which is at plus 425. So for those numbers, Kelce has gotten over 70 yards 13 times in playoff games. So well over half the time. And you're getting that at plus 135. And then he has hit 100 or more yards in 7. Almost half of his playoff games, he's hitting this number, and you're getting it at plus 425. Again, it's going to be cold, but he is going to be their threat. And if he breaks off a big run, which we know Travis Kelce can do, you're going to be very, very pleased to have spent your money on this bet.
He is easily capable of a 100-yard game against this Miami Dolphins team in negative temperatures. That is absolutely crazy value.
We don't have a whole lot of wind necessarily, right? Like it's just cold.
Yes. Very cold. Yeah. However, the next game we're going to talk about, which is a great segue, is going to have a ton of wind. 30 mile an hour winds projected for our next game at 11 a.m. on Sunday. They've got the Steelers versus the Bills in Buffalo. miserable wind conditions. I don't think there's any worse conditions for football than like heavy winds like
And
this.
it's crosswinds too. Like it's not like tailwinds that like, oh, all of a sudden your punt went 92 yards. It's the punt went out of bounds 17 yards past the line of scrimmage.
Balls are gonna be going everywhere in this game. It's gonna be weird and ugly, and I think our picks kind of point to that. I know we each have a couple things going in this game. For me, give me James Cook over 15.5 rush attempts. That is just purely because this is a number that he does hit often and more likely to happen, in my opinion, if there are 30-mile-an-hour winds. You're going to try to run the ball, especially against a lesser team like the. I think the Steelers are going to get absolutely smoked in this game. I don't necessarily like betting a double-digit spread, I think is what it was last time I saw it. So that's why I'm going to say that James Cook is going to get carries because of the wind and because the Bills will be leading by enough late in the game to just run this clock out. So I really like that. Stefan, though, you have another rushing attempts.
Well, it's the same logic, really. Just substitute. I was going to go with Jaylen Warren, actually. Jaylen Warren. He's the RB2 here for Pittsburgh. But if you look at his last 10 games, he's hit this number 8 times. Now, some of the time, it's exactly 9 rushing attempts, but that's all we need. In fact, he's hit this every week except for the week right before Christmas when I recommended this very same bet because of the same logic. I like Jaylen Warren. I'm actually on the other side of you on this one. I was leaning towards the Steelers plus all the points, but just because I think it's going to be hard to score in these conditions, and there's going to be a lot of running the football. But with it dropping down to 9.5, I was like, I don't know. I also don't think there's going to be many field goals in this game. I don't even think they have field goal props available for this game, which is interesting because they don't want us all smashing the unders. But so I like Jaylen Warren over 8.5 rush attempts in this. And then the other one that you had on the screen right before is also the quarterback, Josh Allen, over 8.5 rush attempts. I think both of our bets for rush attempts on the Bills side will hit because they're not going to be throwing the ball all that often. And when they do, it's going to be really, really short. They're going to have to get creative with their running game. And I think that means Josh Allen on some design keepers too, because Pittsburgh is going to load the box because of the conditions. And I think Josh Allen will, he likes to run the ball anyway. I think we'll see it. I wanted to put an interception prop on there for Josh Allen because it was at -105. But again, even Josh Allen might find it difficult to complete an interception in these conditions.
I think that's the hard part. Like even an interception might have a hard time finding the hands of someone. So speaking of hands, I'm going to take Stephon Diggs under 5.5 receptions. He pretty consistently gets 4 or 5 receptions, but he does get the yardage a lot. So, he had 7 last game. That being said, we've already talked about the wind ad nauseum here. So I just don't see them throwing in the Stephon Diggs medium to long pass range, which is where the type of receiver he is. So I'm going to go ahead and take his under, especially because he often does have only 4 or 5 catches in regular games without this kind of weather. So I love that at +100, and that value seemed pretty great to me. I saw that on DraftKings today. Hopefully that is still out there. So with that game out of the way, which will probably be an ugly game that none of us really watch a ton of, if we're being honest, let's move to the game that I think I'm very I'm anxious to see the results of the Packers-Cowboys game at 2:30. Only because of the classic, like, Cowboys are chokers, Dak's gonna choke, like that kind of, like, are they really going to? Because Green Bay has played a lot better down the stretch here. And while I think the Cowboys are gonna win. Like, this could be a classic Cowboys choking spot, right? Like, that's not crazy to think about. But that being said, I have I'm going to take the first choke bet and go anti-Cowboys here with Dak Prescott to throw an interception at -125. I hit this a couple weeks ago when we picked it. It just made so much sense. It was a big game for him. If Dak Prescott's in a big game, I'm going to take him to throw an interception. So it doesn't take much. So give me Dak Prescott to throw an interception at -125. Stefan, we both like Aaron Jones, though. Why don't you tell me about your Aaron Jones pick first, though?
Yeah, since Aaron Jones' injury, since he returned from injury, I should say, he has been absolutely on fire. So that first came back against Tampa Bay. Again, Tampa Bay's got a good defense, but it's also his first game back. So he's splitting the carries. He ended up getting 13 carries for 53 yards. Since then, the games that have followed, he's had over 20 carries and over 100 yards in every game. Since coming back from injury, he's leading the league in rushing, which I didn't realize, again, until I was listening to the guys over at SGPN. Yeah. Shout out. And so give me Aaron Jones over 72.5 rushing yards. We were talking before the show. What do we like better? The attempts, I think the number is 16.5, or the yards, and we decided to go with the yards. If he has 16 carries, he's going to get 72.5 yards. The man is averaging over 5.5 yards a carry right now. So this one I feel pretty good about.
Yeah, he's also just a sneaky good like playoff performer. So I'll go ahead and throw my pick out. Give me Aaron Jones with a touchdown anytime. -120. I think it's one of the better touchdown values in this game. You know, obviously, like the CD Lambs and those folks are going to be priced pretty high. I think Pollard is pretty high for the Cowboys. So the fact that Aaron Jones, I think, is the third or fourth best value at an anytime touchdown is pretty great. And I think he has scored. See, I wrote this down somewhere. He's scored some touchdowns. I already lost my stat on it, but the man has scored some touchdowns. So, all right,
Eric, does it make you this feels like it's not right? Does it make you nervous that he hasn't scored a touchdown since November 5th this year?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't make
I'm just
me
surprised with the number being what it is.
I'm
surprised it's not better than that. I'm surprised
That's
our
true.
odds aren't better. I like the bet. I think it happens more often than not. So that even money play is absolutely.
But didn't he have an injury he was dealing with, and that's why?
Yeah. But I'm still surprised. Real quick to your Dak Prescott point, I just looked up the AI projections for Prescott, and it's at 36 pass attempts. You telling me that Dak Prescott throws the ball 36 times and doesn't throw one interception? Come on now. It's happening.
I don't think he throws it 30 times and doesn't get an interception. That's great value.
Right. Yeah.
That is great value. All right, let's move on to the game that we are most excited for, because we don't actually have any picks on the last game. Just a heads up. We don't have picks for Eagles Buccaneers because I think that has a lot of question marks around it.
You have one, in fact.
I moved on from my Eagles.
No, you have a Godwin. Anyway, we'll get there.
Oh, I do have Godwin. I take that back. We have an Eagles Buccaneers pick.
Professionals over here.
Let's talk to the game that we're most excited about, which is Rams and Lions. This is an absolute track meet. Honestly, I wrote this in our sheet for the show, and then I went and looked up what the over would be because I didn't care. So I just didn't care what the over was. I'm betting the over in this game. Matt Stafford, like the Rams have been playing great offensively. Stafford, this is his home stadium for all intents and purposes. Detroit at home is an electrifying team on offense. So I'm just straight up going with the over. And Steve, if you want to dive into maybe some of the props or prop that you have that probably support that.
I don't have a prop, my friend. I have
they're all mine. Oh, I did.
No, I have a play on the side. I'm on Rams +3. In fact, I think the wrong team's favored. Detroit already won their Super Bowl. They already won it when they took the North. They celebrated it. Their fans went crazy. Everyone was popping the bottles. You know what? It's a great season, and it ends this weekend. The Rams are a better team. They're healthy. They look good. They can run the ball and pass the ball on any down. Detroit has not had to face anything like that in quite some time. They have not been the same team, in my opinion, since the bye week. A lot of experts out there that I respect, guys like Mike McClure over at at Sportsline. I really have a lot of respect for him, and his model, his numbers show that the Rams should be favored by 2.5. Gail, so there's a lot of people I trust that are backing this one. Like you said, we're not always going to give you all of our numbers, and we're not building out some tables and all these things, but we listen to people who do. So give me Rams +3.
Exactly. Yeah, give me a 34-27 game there for us. I think that's very likely that could happen in this one. So another prop, or a prop I like in this game, is Amon-Ra St. Brown to score a touchdown. We've talked about this a lot this year, how before this season, he was not much of a red zone target, but this man has 10 touchdowns on the season. He has also scored in his last 4 games. So give me Amon-Ra St. Brown at +105 to get an anytime touchdown in this game. Just because it's a track meet, I think he sneaks one out there. I will also take Matthew Stafford over 279.5 passing yards. That's a lot of passing yards, but go look at Stafford's stats and tell me he won't put that up in a track meet. Man has a lot of 300-yard plus games, playing great. Nakua, Cup, all those guys, I believe, are healthy. Obviously, that could change if I'm incorrect there, but I did take a look. So yeah, take a look.
And you've got Demarcus Robinson balling out. Kyron Williams is balling out. They're peaking at the right time.
Yeah, so I think both quarterbacks might have over 300 yards in this game. That is a possibility.
That's
but maybe like interceptions, because Matt Stafford throws some interceptions too. So if you aren't a Matt Stafford fan, he's going to be throwing. We talked about Dak throwing that much. Like Matt Stafford's probably got a pick in him too, for throwing that many times that he's going to be thrown in this game. So speaking of Kyron Williams, though, I think you're up.
I'm out, buddy. I'm out.
Me still. I'm making all these picks. Like these are
I am all tapped out.
I don't even remember them. I have Kyron Williams over 82.5 rushing yards. He has hit this in 8 of his last 9 games. He is a real weapon in the rush attack for the Rams. And, inside dome turf, the man is going to get his, and again, a track meet, because he is not necessarily he's not the guy they're handing to get 2 or 3 yards. Like he has some explosiveness to him. I think this total is too low based on his last 9 games. If you go back and take a look, he's blown this number out.
And I've been nervous to recommend it because I've been playing him in DFS, but I haven't been wanting to, because the numbers been so high, but then he keeps hitting it. So let's do it finally and enjoy it. You mentioned both quarterbacks maybe throwing for a lot of yards. If you parlay Stafford and Goff to both throw for over 275, you get that at 232, which is quite nice.
I'm doing that.
Another one that you could do is if you want to do the both over 300, you can get that at a respectable 460.
A parlay ladder.
Yeah.
For quarterbacks to throw over yardage.
We've done this once before. And it was 2 backup quarterbacks, and we did them both to throw just over 225. It was Zappy and someone else. And one of them did it, and the other one was within 5 yards. And it was a stupid plus 2,000 or something like that.
I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that both over 275 one myself on my personal account for sure. All right. Well, that does bring us, I believe, to
You've got one more play. Yeah.
One more play for one more game. We mentioned it before. The Eagles and Bucks have a lot of question marks. I learned my lesson last week to never make a pro Baker Mayfield bet. It's an official rule for this show that if Stefan sees me make a Baker Mayfield bet that's for positive things to happen, that it's automatically vetoed. It is official, because I invested in him after he had already peaked, and that was my bad. So I'm staying away from Mayfield. We don't know if Hurts is healthy or is going to play or both. So go ahead and give me Godwin Chris Godwin over 54.5 receiving yards. Now that might sound like a pro. Baker Mayfield does have to get him the ball. That being said, these are the two bottom teams in the NFL with giving up receiving yards. These two teams give up the most receiving yards in the NFL. So I do like the receivers. If you like, I think if Jalen Hurts plays, you probably like AJ Brown.
I mean, AJ Brown's coming off. I mean, he was a bit banged up too, you know.
Yeah. You might like Mike Evans more in this game than you like Godwin. I just like Godwin's yardage total more than I think Mike Evans was at like 68 or 72 or somewhere in there. So I do like Godwin here. Might be worth a ladder. Probably. I don't know if I'm that confident in Baker Mayfield to give him the ball that much, if I'm being quite honest. It's not quite low enough for that. So yeah, that's it. I don't know if I have a lot of interest in that game. It's going to be ugly. Maybe just to see the Eagles lose, because Eagles fans are the worst. And maybe it's worth just seeing them get knocked out of the playoffs to watch this game. I don't know.
I don't know, man. The owner of Wrexham, Rob McElhenney, is a huge Eagles fan, so I don't want them to lose. And I hate the Buccaneers, man.
I have a couple in my life. I have a couple personal friends in my life that are Eagles fans that aren't so bad. But man, when they get them in those interviews and stuff, and they cut it up for social media, and they just show the Eagles fans being the worst. It's bad. It's true. Bad. But all right, well, thanks, everybody. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X, and wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for everyone who's watching live right now. Appreciate all of you. We are now going to do the part of the show where we run down our picks. We will go game by game here to keep it consistent. And so if you fast forward to the end of the show because you don't want to listen to the whole 27 minutes,
smart.
Congratulations. You made it. So let's start with the Browns and Texans. I have the Texans +2 to beat the Cleveland Browns. This is our only pick for this game. Stefan, why don't you kick us off with your pick for the Dolphins-Chiefs game?
Yeah, we're going to do a Travis Kelce ladder. We're going to start with a half unit on over 57.5 receiving yards, then do a quarter unit on over 70 yards at +135, and then our final quarter over 100 yards, and that's at +425.
Awesome. Moving to the Steelers and Bills, I have James Cook over 15.5 rushing yards, Stephon Diggs under 5.5 receptions, and then you have a couple for us as well.
Yeah, we're going to go Warren over 8.5 rush attempts. And then we're also going to go Josh Allen, quarterback for the Bills, on his over 8.5 rush attempts. So we're going to hope they both get 9.
Awesome. I think it's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of running in that game.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the Packers and Cowboys. I have Dak Prescott to throw a classic Dak big game interception. I also like Aaron Jones anytime touchdown here, and you also have an Aaron Jones pick for us.
Yep, give me Aaron Jones over 72.5 rushing yards. And then in that Rams-Detroit game, give me the Rams +3. I think they're the better team. I might also do Rams -3 on an outline. Give us your prop bets.
You're a big fan of the Rams in that one, and let me dive into mine here. I have Matthew Stafford over 279.5 passing yards. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown with an anytime touchdown. Give me Kyron Williams over 82.5 rushing yards in that game. Lots of offense. And we also like the over in that game. I forgot to mention that is one of our picks, over 51.5 points. I think it will go into the 60s for the total personally. And then last but not least, we have one pick for the Eagles and Buccaneers. That is Chris Godwin over 54.5 receiving yards. Lots of question marks in that game. Check injuries before you go make your bets. That is it, everyone. Super excited for football this weekend. Thanks so much for listening, and we will talk to everyone later.
Bye.